Yeah. So I will discuss management of brain dead donor. Brain death is irreversible loss of all the functions of the brain, including brainstem. But circulation is intact. So as circulation is intact, the blood flow and oxygen delivery to the various organs are preserved. And as it is preserved, their function is also intact. So we can take that organs from the brain dead donor and transplant to the appropriate recipient. So that is the whole idea about brain dead donation. If you see, once there is brain death, it is associated with numerous pathological changes and inflammatory response. And without appropriate intervention, circulatory collapse will usually occur within 24 hours. So we have very minimal window period between brain death and we harvest the organ. So in those periods, we should support all the organs which are going to be harvested like liver, kidney, pancreas, heart. Numerous studies have proved that success of any organ transplant, whether it's a liver, kidney or heart, it depends on how well that organs have been optimized and preserved pre-transplant. One brain dead donor can save up to 8 lives by donating 1 heart, 1 pancreas, 2 lungs, 2 kidney, 1 liver and 1 intestine. So we should feel that responsibility on our shoulder. Like before we were managing only 1 life of that brain dead donor, but now we are responsible for 8 lives, and outcome of those 8 lives is depend on how well we have preserved the organs for that individual recipient. Once brain death is diagnosed, we should switch our goal from neuroprotection to organ protection, and each organ has their own need. It's a teamwork, it's multidisciplinary team approach, and there is always constant communication between donor team and procurement team. The most common system affected by brain death is the cardiovascular system. So because of raised in intracranial pressure, there is ischemia of the brain from rostro to caudal fashion, so from cerebrum to spinal cord. So first there will be pontine ischemia, which will be reflected by Cushing reflex, and there will be hypertension and bradycardia. Followed by there is medulla oblongata ischemia, and because of that there will be vagal motor neuron ischemia, and because of vagal ischemia there is overwhelmed sympathetic response, and that will cause the sympathetic storm. So there will profound increase in sympathetic adrenaline and noradrenaline, and that will cause hypertension and tachycardia, and that phase will be followed by herniation with ischemia of spinal cord and gradual loss of all sympathetic tone also, and their patient will become profoundly vasodilated and hypotensive. Sympathetic storm is very important to understand. It duration may be minutes to hours and 1,000 times fold in adrenaline and noradrenaline, and that will cause the myocardial damage by increasing the afterload, and that can also cause the neurogenic pulmonary edema. So we must treat this storm, and we must use short-acting agents like NTG and SNP, because this phase will be followed by hypotension. Pulmonary changes associated with brain death is neurogenic pulmonary edema and inflammatory acute lung injury. Other common system which affected by brain death is the endocrine system, because there will be interruption of the hypothalamic pituitary axis after the brain death, and that will lead to hypothyroidism, adrenal insufficiency, hormones which are released by anterior pituitary, and deficiency of vasopressin which is released by the posterior pituitary. Thyroid is very important hormone for maintaining myocardial contractility, vascular tone, and mitochondrial aerobic metabolism. So we should replace thyroid hormone like tablet levothyroxine 100 to 400 micrograms should be given via nasogastric tube. Another deficiency of vasopressin, and vasopressin deficiency will lead to diabetes insipidus. So rule of thumb is, if any brain dead donor urine output is 500 ml per hour for consecutive 2 hours, we can label this as diabetes insipidus, and diabetes insipidus is loss of free water. So that's why there will be hypernatremia, there will be hypovolemia and hypokalemia. Treatment is volume replacement, obviously, because it's free water loss, and fluid of choice is half normal saline and 5% dextrose, because there will be hypernatremia. Input for that patient should be last hour output plus 30 ml, and vasopressin is the drug of choice to treat the diabetes insipidus. We should keep the goal of urine output should be 1 to 3 ml per kg per hour. As there is adrenal insufficiency following brain death, we must replace steroids. So methylprednisolone 30 mg per kg bolus and repeat after 24 hours. It has anti-inflammatory effect. It decreases the immunogenicity of the donor graft. It decreases the need for inotropes and vasopressors. Brain dead is also associated with hyperglycemia with insulin resistance, hypothermia because of thalamus cannot work properly and there is loss of thalamic temperature control. Arrhythmias can occur because of electrolyte imbalance or sympathetic storm. One important thing to note is in these patients, if there is bradycardia, they will not respond to atropine. We must use the directly acting chronotropic agents like isoprenaline or adrenaline. If you see frequency of pathophysiological changes in 100% of patients, there will be hypothermia, 97% hypotension occurs, 65 to 90% patients there will be diabetes insipidus, followed by arrhythmias, pulmonary edema, and cardiac arrest can happen in 5 to 10% of patients. Investigations, all the routine investigations, special investigations like USG abdomen when kidney, liver, and pancreas are planned to be harvested. Echo and coronary angiograph is required if there is heart is going to be harvested. Coronary angiography, not all the patient, but if donor age is more than 45, he should undergo coronary angiography. Bronchoscopy if lung is going to be harvested. Now, important is monitoring. So, more sicker the brain dead patient, more intensive monitoring he will require. But all the brain dead patient must require invasive arterial line and central venous pressure monitoring. If brain dead patient more sicker, he may require cardiac output monitoring, he may require pulmonary artery catheter and systemic vascular resistance monitoring, PVI monitoring. And goal of this patient is consensus statement saying that heart rate should be between 60 to 120, arterial systolic pressure should be more than 100 mm of Hg, mean arterial pressure should be more than equal to 70 mm of Hg, CVP should be 10, so we should adequately fill this patient first. Then urine output should be 0.5 to 3 ml per kg per hour, saturation should be more than 95%. We should maintain the normal temperature and ABG should be normal without acidosis, hematocrit 30% with normal electrolytes. Now, if you see goal for this patient, so we should maintain tissue oxygen delivery to all the organs which are to be harvested. So, if you see delivery equation is equal to cardiac output into oxygen content. Cardiac output is stroke volume into heart rate. Stroke volume is depend on preload, afterload, and contractility. So, to optimize the preload, we can give fluids. First, give the fluids, maintain the CVP up to 10 ml of Hg. If you find patient is vasodilated, give vasopressors like vasopressin or noradrenaline low dose. And if contractility is low on echo, we can start inotropes. So fluid resuscitation, 50% brain dead donors are hypovolemic. Crystalloids are preferred over colloids in these patients. Balanced salt solutions like Ringal lactate are preferred over normal side because this patient most of patients have hypernatremia because of diabetes insipidus. Here there is two contradictory needs between lung and kidney. Lung requires conservative fluid management while kidney requires liberal fluid management. So we should balance when both the organs are going to be harvested. Inotrope dopamine is the drug of choice. Dobutamine or low dose adrenaline can be used. Vasopressin is the drug of choice because it is also be the treatment of choice for the diabetes insipidus. It does not cause tachycardia and it has catechol sparing effect. Only disadvantage with vasopressin, high dose can cause splanchnic hypoperfusion and liver team doesn't like high dose of vasopressin. Same way, heart team doesn't like high dose of noradrenaline. So ideal vasoconstrictor in this patient is vasopressin. Pulmonary management. Once diagnosed of brain dead and if plan is to harvest the lung, increase endotracheal tube cuff pressure to 25 cm of water to prevent microaspiration, head and elevation by 30 degree, maintain PO2 more than 100, SPO2 more than 95%, lung protective ventilatory strategies should be applied, recruitment maneuvers if there are atelectasis on the chest x-ray, avoid hypervolemia. So take home message, success of transplant depend on how well organ has been optimized pre-transplant, maintain tissue oxygen delivery with minimal possible catecholamines, preload optimization before you give inotropes or vasopressors, crystalloid preferred over colloids, remember rule of 100, maintain systolic blood pressure more than 100, heart rate less than 100, urine output more than 100 ml per hour, PO2 more than 100 mm of Hg. 3 hormone supplementation, thyroid, steroids, and vasopressin. Dopamine first line inotrope. Vasopressin is preferred vasoconstrictor over noradrenaline and conservative fluid therapy when lungs are going to be harvested. Thank you very much.